Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have a special guest. And as usual, every guest that appears on this show is of high caliber. They are known for what they have done in their life. Today we have someone who is a transformation coach, an award-winning author, a speaker, and who has worked in the Fortune 500 company for around about 25 years. She's also a red carpet host. Let me introduce my friend, Renee Reisch, all the way from the US. Hi, Renee.
Hello, Sensei. How are you?
Absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. This is one thing I always have with Renee is I pronounce her name incorrectly, and she always corrects me. Am I right?
Yes, it's Renee Reisch.
And I get it always wrong. I get it always wrong. I say, okay, I'm going to say Renee. You've got to agree with that. Right. So, Renee, today you are very well known as a red carpet host. You are known as a transformational coach. You are known as a speaker, and you've got a fantastic book. We are going to talk about the book as well. But that is not your life. Your life, as usual, most of the guests, those who come in here, they have got the dips and the ups in their life. Where is your dip? When I say the dip, the deepest dip in your life where it was completely dark, you couldn't see anything, you couldn't speak about it, and you say that that is the end of my life, and then you got it from there, you bounced back. So let me take us through the ditch where you were. Let's start from there.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to be here on your show. I greatly appreciate it, so thank you. The dip and the darkest time was in 2013 when I lost my voice to an illness. And it was a very devastating time. I think we take for granted the things that we have on a regular basis. And for me, it was my voice until I didn't have it, until it was no longer available. And I was in corporate America, working, as Sensei said, for a Fortune 500 company. I'd been there for many years. And in 2013, it was during the Christmas season. And for those who go shopping in the retail stores during the Christmas holiday, it's the extended hours are there. And it's just a very busy and hectic time.
Yeah.
Well, I was running around, burning the candle at both ends, working, very long hours, working from home, working at work. When I worked from home, though that was my own doing. Nobody said you had to work from home, but I was always trying to do more, so I would make my life hopefully easier when I was at work. But I just kept, going, and I didn't slow down. But when you do that, sometimes your life slows you down and brings you to a screeching halt.
That's true.
And that's exactly what happened to me in my life. The brakes were literally put on a screeching halt, and so was my life from then on for the next 4 months of what's turned out to be a total isolation. The self-isolation that we're in now with COVID all across the world was, self-isolation for me in 2013. I was self-quarantined before self-quarantine was a thing, which it is now. So what's going on now is very reminiscent to me of what I experienced then. If I was to go out, which I seldom did because I was in a lot of pain and I was very weak, but if I was to go out, it was usually to the pharmacy to see if I can, get something to ease my pain. And I had to wear a mask. And if anyone was to come and visit me, that person was to do the same. The only one who ever came was my best friend because she lived close to where I live, and she had to wear a mask. I never knew when she was coming. But being my best friend, she always showed up. That's what best friends do. They show up when you don't even know it. They're always there for you. And she's always been there for me. So without the grace of God and my best friend, I don't really think I'd be speaking with you today, because it was a very devastating time mentally, physically, emotionally. It really wreaked havoc on my mind, because the two things I love most in life, aside from number one, God, and my family, is speaking and connecting with others. And those who know me know that's very true. I am a connector, and I love to speak and connect with others. What I realized several years later, like 4 years later, after this illness, was that it didn't happen to me, it happened for me.
Mm-hmm.
And when something happens for you, and then you realize it's an awakening of why that pain occurred in your life.
Mm-hmm.
When you're not listening, we have these two things on the side of our head, and they're called ears. And we have one thing in front of our face, it's called a mouth. Sometimes you have to speak less and listen more. And in listening, it was listening to the sound of silence and going within and listening to, the quiet around me, to be able to come out into a different way and to be able to speak again. And getting quiet allowed me to find my voice. And it took a really long time. Doctors didn't know if I would ever speak again. I remember when I went in, I was in the ER twice during this time.
Mm-hmm.
And during this time also, and I was sent to a specialist to find out what was going on, and the doctors didn't know if it was going to be permanent damage. You think this is going to come back, and then you find out this might be permanent. You're like, oh my gosh, this might be gone for good. And now what's life going to look like? Then what's going to happen? How am I going to communicate? Who can I tell my parents, my brothers that I love them, my best friend? What do you do? And there was nothing I could do. You have to surrender. You have to surrender. And surrendering doesn't mean giving up. You're not giving up. You're surrendering to what is and allowing, and something, let be, allow and let be, and just surrender to what is going on. But you keep fighting. You keep fighting, but you're surrendering to what is currently happening, but you're not giving in and you're not giving up. You're getting quiet. And in the stillness, you can find your voice, because it's your inner voice that you sometimes need to listen to. The inner voice sometimes also can be your worst critic, and the outer voice that, that creates that fear. So you want to make sure that you listen to that quietness, that stillness, and find your own voice and find your way, and not look for the validation from outside sources, which I was always doing. You don't need it. Everything you need is within you now. All the love you need, all the support you need. There's no validation from anybody. It's you. When I lost my voice, Sensei, in 2013, I lost a big part of myself, because I was a people pleaser.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned more with pleasing others than pleasing myself.
Mm-hmm.
I was concerned of judgment, what people might say or think of me if I spoke my truth, if I said what was on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
All those fears were not fears that I really needed to have. They were stories that I somehow conjured up in my mind, and I let them play again and again like a broken tape or record. And I lived out those fears because I made them my reality. And that became my life. But in losing the voice, I came out with a much stronger voice and a much stronger me. And now I'm able to help others be stronger in their life and find that voice that they have kept silent. We let others take us down notches and notches because we are afraid to stand up to somebody or something that we believe in.
Yeah.
And that's not what life is about. And that's not what life should be about for anybody here. We're here for a purpose and a reason. Not to succumb to other people, but to live our purpose, why we're here. And because of what I went through, I'm now able to help others and their journey because of my journey.
Wow. So thank you very much for sharing your story. Now, did you have the same passion to people? Did you have that sort of interest to help people while you were in the corporate world?
When I was in corporate America, the last 10 of the 25 for that one company, I was a manager and I was considered a coach, coaching teams. And I know inside of me, I've always been that coach and that mentor because I didn't coach necessarily a team together. I did one-on-one with them.
Okay.
Because I knew in order to make a strong team, I had to get to know my people as individuals and what was going to drive them and motivate them and listen to them and their pain points and what they may be going through in their personal life, because that was going to affect their outcome and what they were doing at work.
Sure.
And I needed to connect with them on a personal level. When I did that, I created a team and a culture. And that made all the difference in the world.
Wow. And this is one question that I ask to most of our guests. How important do you think is coaching?
Huge. Absolutely huge. You look at someone like Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins. They've all
in fact, I was reading Jack Canfield's book just before you came on stage. Yes, please go ahead.
Oh my goodness, Sensei. I have that book, and I'm going to tell you, there's a story about that book in my book.
Wow.
I met Jack in person, and I wrote a story about how I got that book in my own book. There's a whole chapter.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. I had no clue about it.
This was not planned. We didn't nothing about this. Yes, I there's a whole chapter about that in my book. So here's the book, Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Change, and Unleash Your Greatness. Wow. And what I found, Sensei, is that the chains I was bound up in were my very own. So the subtitle, Unlock Your Chains and Unleash Your Greatness, was really unlocking my own chains that I bound myself up into by myself. No one did it to me. I did it to myself. And now it's unleashing the greatness from within. And that's what I'm doing in coaching others and mentoring others. Finding your voice. It really, the illness I went through was both physical as well as metaphoric. And quite frankly, I believe it was because of the metaphoric loss of my voice in my life that it manifested itself in the physical ailment and illness that I had. I believe that because in not using it in the way it was given to me, when it was taken, as I said, I needed to get quiet and find it all over again and find the real voice that was always there, but that I was holding back on. And now it's unleashing it to help serve others.
Wow. So when it comes to others, you use the word others. Is it a particular category of people? Are you talking about male? Are you talking about female? Which is your niche?
My niche is certainly women. In corporate America, I coached both men and women. They were on my team. Yep. And I was very happy to do that. I can help men as well, because there are a lot of men out there who also feel they don't have a voice. Maybe it's someone that's a homosexual that's afraid to come out and use his voice. Maybe it's someone that, is in a relationship that doesn't feel like he has a voice in his relationship. Whatever it is. But my main niche is women, quite frankly, because I am one and I know what I went through, and I know that other women can relate to not having a voice.
Yep.
And again, it could be in their, relationship with a significant other. I know women, when they're in their marriage or in their home life, they're maybe taking care of everybody, but the last one they're taking care of is themselves. And when you care more for others than yourself, that really doesn't work out too well. The saying, you can't pour from an empty cup.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. when your cup is empty, there's nothing left. There's no overflow to serve anybody else when you haven't served yourself first. And everybody who's listening, that's not being selfish. That is being selfless. You need to put yourself first in these situations, because then when your cup is full, you can serve others in a bigger and greater and better way than you ever could have before.
Wow. Wow. Now, you are also a red carpet host. What does that mean?
I've hosted red carpet events, and I'm always happy to do the interview different people, celebrities, and the events that I've been to in LA or San Diego, and I've been proud to do that. I always love asking questions and finding out. I've got this thirst and quest for knowledge, and we have the more knowledge we have, the more we can impart on others. I always say, and I've said this in the book as well, that I'll always and forever be a student of life, and also a teacher in life, because the lessons I learn, I like to pass along to others and share them with others, because what good is knowledge if you just keep it for yourself and you can't share it with somebody else who might need it? This voice may be the very voice that some soul needed to hear, and maybe for even one person, only for even one person, that I got this back. And maybe it saved somebody's life because of the words I spoke.
Yep.
And I would say it's worth it.
Now, you use the term transformational coach. Why don't you use some other term? For example, there are a lot of life coaches there in the United States. Why don't you use the word life coach, but you have used the word transformation coach? What is the difference between the two of this?
In transformational coaching, it is also life coaching, because you're transforming in somebody's life.
Yep.
I use the word transformation, however, to your question, because in transformation, there's resilience that you have to have and go through. And I had this in getting through this illness. I had to be resilient. I had to have faith. I had to believe, and I had to be strong. And you can't just say, well, just do this, just do that. Well, if you could just do it and take a magic pill, I think the stock would go way up. But there is no magic pill for this.
Sure.
It's called life. In life, you get, the school of hard knocks. You get knocked down.
Yeah.
But you need to stand back up, and not everybody can. And it's not easy, and it doesn't mean you're weak. Because there were days I didn't know if I could ever stand up. There were days when I was not sure if I wanted to see the next day, because the pain was so severe. So I get that. I understand that more than you will ever know. But it's in knowing that somebody's out there to help you, that you are not alone, and there is no need for you to go through any kind of pain alone. That's where the transformation happens. When you can open up. And that's why I could do group coaching too, and I'm always happy to do group coaching. In the one-on-one coaching, when you feel that you're safe, and that you are going to be in this space with just me and that one other person, it goes nowhere. But the probably at this point it will be between the computers because of COVID, but that you are in a safe place, and that I've got your back. And I know where you are coming from, and experience a lot of pains that people may not think anybody has experienced. Because they feel like it's just them. But it's not ever just you, even though you feel it, you're like, nobody could possibly be going through this. And how do I get out of this? You feel like you're in this rabbit hole all by yourself, and you don't even see the light when you look up because you're in such a dark place. But there is light. And I like to be the light in somebody's life.
Wow, that's great. Now, the book that you are holding is an international best-selling book. When did you get the spark to write the book? Because there are a lot of people who dream to write a book, but they don't lift a pen to write. But in your case, you wrote and you made sure that you finish it, and you gave a surprise to your mother. And that was a huge surprise because she never expected that you're going to write a book. But before you gave the surprise, you started writing. But there should be some sort of spark that you got from somewhere. What was the spark and how did that happen?
Wow. Great question. So I was released from my corporate job in 2017.
Mm-hmm.
As you mentioned in the introduction, Sensei, I was with them for 25 years. So it's not like I was 17 and just looking for a new job. I had been there for a quarter of a century.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know what I would do. I said, what am I going to do now? What kind of work am I going to get? I've been released from something I thought I would be at for, I didn't know how long. I was 25 years in there. I thought I was in there, and I thought I would still be in the company until I was, retired.
Mm-hmm.
And, when God brings you to something and through something, there is a reason. My reason is for every single person out there listening to know that there is a way out of what you're going through. And to your question, what made me write this book? One day when I was home pondering, what am I going to do?
Mm-hmm.
A family friend from back east, where I'm originally from,
Mm-hmm.
called on the phone. I hadn't spoken with her for a while, and she actually just recently passed. And she said during our conversation, you should write a book. People say that, and you don't necessarily know to take it serious or not, but I thought about it briefly, and I'm like, I should write a book. I actually did like to write, but I had never written a book.
Mm-hmm.
I'd written papers in school. I wrote, things for my associates, letters and stories about them, for success stories that they had achieved and that I wanted to shout out to everybody else in the store and in the company. I would write success stories about them. So I did know I liked to write.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a difference in writing a paper, writing a short story than writing a book.
Yep.
So I kept pondering with the idea. I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? And I was looking for work. I'm like, who has time to write a book?
Mm-hmm.
I need to get a job.
Mm-hmm.
I have no time to write a book. This is something that other people do, not me. How am I going to write a book? So I toyed with the idea and I said, no, I need to keep looking for work. Then I kept getting these knocks on the head. You need to write a book. Mm-hmm. And then I had different people, friends of mine from different states saying, Renee, you need to write a book. I'm like, again, I had so many people telling me to write a book, like around this whole, maybe close to a year. Like, are you kidding me? If I hear one more person say you need to write a book, and none of these people knew each other. Mm-hmm. It was coming from every which way. Like, I think the universe was shouting to me, write the book, write the book. I'm like, I finally did start it. And I say I started it because then I would put it down and then I'd pick it back up because I would get a little spark. Oh, I should write that. Then there was a time, I think I put it down for like 3 to 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still looking for work at this time. I'm still looking for, because I kept looking for similar work that I had done. I figured, well, if I did it there, I could do it anywhere.
Yep.
I wasn't getting hired so quick because I had done so well in that position that the other retailers were saying, why do you want to work here? Look what you've already achieved. Oh my goodness. I didn't think this was going to be so difficult, but sometimes when you do really well in a position,
yep,
getting another position is not so easy because they're questioning why you want to be here when you've already achieved all this. So I went back to the book. Mm-hmm. And I kept writing and I kept going to different events and meeting people and networking. I did a lot of networking. As I was networking, I was meeting amazing people. And of course, like I mentioned, Jack Canfield's in here. I met him at an event in San Diego. I was like a network guru. I was posting all these pictures. I met all these different celebrities and influencers on Facebook that I was meeting. I mean, I was just connecting with all these people. amazing, amazing people. And that's what led me, to write the book. I sat my little butt down and I finished the book. It was not an easy thing. I left it when it was almost done. I kept, putting it back down. And then one day I like to go running. I like physical fitness. And I was like, well, I don't have time to do the book. I need to finish this first or whatever. Then I said, Renee, you can do both. You need to finish that book. You've worked so hard on it. Why not do both? So I did. And then I got some beautiful endorsements. I don't know if anybody out there knows Forbes Riley. She's a very well known infomercial queen, and she's a speaker, an author, a host, a coach. She's amazing. And then my dear friend also, Shay Vaughn, Vince Vaughn, the actor, his mom, she and I are good friends, and they both endorsed the book for me, which was amazing. And I'm very blessed. And it's just an incredible opportunity for me to give back. In writing this book, this isn't so much about, well, it's about me, yes, but it was written, I believe, for others, because I wrote it with the intent of serving other people in this book. It's my journey, yes, but it takes the readers through that journey in finding my voice to help them in their journey in finding their very own voice. Wow. And discovering the strength that they have within. And I have what's called a takeaway section after each chapter, because I believe in the power of the pen. And what we go through, we grow through. And I really encourage people to write down answers to the questions I pose at the end of each chapter, because what comes up will come out. And you will release those limiting beliefs that we have about, about ourselves. You will get to release them. And that's what I like to do with my students in coaching them and helping them, is really, really important to be able to do that. And this book helps. It certainly helps. And I love being a coach and being a mentor, and being a transformational coach is the biggest thing of all, because it's a gift. And seeing your clients transform in their life and taking those steps in their journey. I relate it to Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. She had the power the whole time in her shoes and her glass slippers. We all have the power within, and sometimes you need someone to bring it out in you. And I'm thrilled to be able to be that person for so many, to help bring those experiences out and to help them grow through what they have gone through, and see that they are better than they ever thought they could be, and stronger than they ever felt they could be. So it's a really, really big blessing for me to be able to bring people to that realization and let go of those limiting beliefs, and to be the person that they're meant to be and live the life they're meant to live.
Wow. Renee, before we go to the last question, what would be your advice to our audience? Now, when I talk about audience, I'm talking about international audience coming from different countries and different age group. What is that one advice, one single advice from your life, from your experience, from the corporate world, coming to become a transformational coach and an author and a red carpet host? What would be your one advice that could enlighten our audience?
Something my best friend, who's one of my angels in heaven with my dad, something that she taught me, and she lived this life, is to never give up. Never give up is never giving up on yourself, first and foremost. And that is the biggest gift of all.
Wow, powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, Renee Reisch.